Okay, Trevor, go ahead.
All right, how you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm all discombobulated, and you know why. Uh,
Uh,
I don't have a
well,
chance in court against you. That's why I gave in good faith the the judge my phone number to you. I was hoping you'd call a lot earlier than you did. Uh,
well, I'm sorry about that. I been a little bit busy, but certainly we have a bit of time to try to get this figured out before the court date. Uh, I think you've received a copy of our complaint. You know what the is about certain alterations to your backyard, not just the lighthouse, but um, more particularly, there's sort of a large mound of gravel back there now that wasn't there before, and there's chairs and things like that on it. And the association has, sent you multiple communications about that, asking you to seek architectural approval for those additions. And that hasn't happened. So that's kind of the reason why we find ourselves where we are now. And I'm just calling to see if if you want to try to get this worked out instead of doing the evidentiary hearing with the court.
well, you're going to have to get paid. Who's going to pay you? Who's going to pay you?
Yeah. So typically the costs for these types of lawsuits are passed on to the homeowner.
That's right. And how much you think that's going to be?
I'm not sure, sir. I really don't have an answer for that right now.
And I suggest, I made a video this morning and you're in it. You're in it and the summons is in it. I don't know if you've seen it, what triggered this phone call, but I would suggest that you go to YouTube and you watch the two videos labeled HOA summons 1 and 2. And number 2, I go to that. Please watch those videos and then give me a call, because what we're about to talk about is all covered in those videos. Okay? Every page that you accuse me of, the first 4 or 5 exhibits you accuse me of, you accuse me of not paying the fine, which was, I paid the fine. Every page that you went to in that summons, the first 4 or 5, the letters, first of all, they weren't sent to me registered mail. All right? You're charging me, and you told the judge that there's no $60,000 fine against my house or lien against my house. There is. I got a video on that too. I got the invoices. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, you guys are looking for me to forfeit my house over to the Sundance Active Adult Community.
Okay. Well, that's not what we're doing. They
Yeah.
have no interest in owning your house. We're merely trying to get you to comply with the CC&Rs.
Well,
That's what this lawsuit's about. It's
Trevor,
not about taking your house. This is not a foreclosure. This is not to enforce
but
a
you,
lien.
like you said, I'm going to end up paying the fines. I'm going to end up paying your wages. I don't want to pay that.
Well,
I don't want to pay those wages because you haven't done it properly. When they send letters to me that fine me and threaten to fine me, and they started a fine of $100 a day, it's a year and a half old, I never got a warning. I never got a letter. How do you start a punishment fine on somebody that's $100 a day without guaranteeing that they know about it? I don't get a lot of letters, okay? And I told Caroline,
my office has sent you letters, and so has the HOA.
yeah, but they're not.
There's
The first letter I ever got from your office was about 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was in 17. and you turned it over to Austin Ballio. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that was the first letter I ever got from your legal agency. And when it came green copy, return receipt, and the top copy was ripped off. And I asked the postage lady, she goes, "You got a letter from a lawyer here?" And I go, "Well, where's the green copy that I have to sign?" She goes, "I don't know." She goes, "But I got a generic here. I'll put the certification number on it and you can sign that." That's the only thing of all the fine letters, all the discipline letters, everything. These are legal documents. Now, if Maricopa County is going to fine me, they summon me and they give me a hearing. If the town of Buckeye, if they were legal and honest, they'd do the same thing. Right? We think we have a problem with you. Here's a letter. You've been served. But you're not serving me. For 52 cents, you send out this phony letter. You got to watch this video. You didn't even read those letters. You put on there on May 11th, you put down in your statement, which was written in January, you put on your statement that on May 11th, they told me about the lighthouse, they told me about they didn't. Now I go to the May 11th letter and it's this quick little quote that more or less covers everything. They say, "You're doing something, tell us what you're doing." What I've been doing for 10 years is correcting this lot. If I could find a lawyer who was a construction defects lawyer, all right, I want to sell this house. I'd sell it to you tomorrow. If you came up with my price, I'd sell it to you tomorrow. Just give me pardon. All right? Please watch the video. I don't know what you know about. You don't know anything about my character. And nobody in the HOA knows anything about my character, who I am. I've avoided the HOA like a plague since I've been here. It was a necessary evil. I paid the dues, I paid the fines, but I was told on the day I closed these houses, "We don't want you here. We don't like it that you came in here and outbid everybody. All your rich farmers out here and all the people that were here with the HOA before me, when they put a $25,000 price tag on these lots overlooking the lake, everybody balked. They were all white Christians from the Midwest that says, I'm not paying $25,000 for a 5,500 square foot lot. There's no way. And they all balked. And I flew in here and I took one look and I said, how many can I buy for this price? I came in from California. I was hated. I've been hated ever since I've been here. And they screwed me. They took away our plat map, which is the plat map is the inventory anywhere in the country. The plat map is the Bible for the parcel. Our plat map says we're supposed to have a golf cart path over here. We're supposed to have an emergency ingress and egress for emergency vehicles. We're supposed to have maintenance vehicles. And the first two people that bought over here, I paid tribute. I've been paying tribute for 19 years. I had 3 houses here. And those idiots from Buckeye that plugged up the easement and made me the new water drain, I've been trying to fix it for 10 years. I got all kinds of videos out there to prove my point. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps.
I know you.
All right? I'm sick of having people make me spin. You've got some of the most dishonest people in the friggin' country out here in Buckeye. They plugged up the thing. Watch the video. Please. Go to the thing and watch the video and give me a call. I want to make a deal. You know why I want to make a deal? Why I want to? I want to get out of here. But I don't want to lose $100,000 or $150,000 off the top of a price tag. And right now with this lien this $100 a day lien that's up to about 58,000 by now that you deny exists. That lien, I talked to a realtor who sold one of my houses about 10 years ago, and he says, until you get rid of that lien, I don't even want to talk to you. It's an encumbrance on my house. And the reason that pile of dirt is there because I am walking point for this. Come on out. Trevor, come on out. Bring your whole legal team out and bring the board of directors with you and bring Caroline with you. Plan on having a meeting out here in my backyard and tell me exactly how you want me to landscape it. But I want you to sit there, and if it's a busy day where they've sold like 200 rounds of golf, you're going to see what my lot is. That pile of dirt is to keep golfers off my property, day in and day out. If anybody knew anything about golf, they'd know what's going on out here. I'm walking point every day. I don't dare sit out there. I got balls in my yard, and whenever they break a window and I call up the pro shop, the first thing out of their mouth is, you bought a house on a golf course. It was an accident. It was unintentional. They even got the police out here in Buckeye. They trained them to say the same thing. Now, if you got anything to say, I'm open. Come out. Have somebody man up. Have somebody in Buckeye man up and say, yeah, we screwed you 20 years ago. We plugged up your cart path easement. We plugged up the drain. We made you the drain. I had a surveyor come out here with 35 years seniority, and he took one look at what I had. I told him, I said, my patio goes underwater in big storms. He said, I can see why. He goes, they made you it. You're the drain up here. I don't even have to take my equipment out of the car. They've been screwing me for 19 years. And there's a core group of morons over there at the HOA that know everything about it. And when I say I have drainage problems, they tell me you have to go to the town. You got to go talk to the city about drainage problems and elevation, and they won't talk to me. As soon as I walk into the second floor and give them my name, nobody's home. The last time I was there, an engineer called me up and he said, if you don't leave the building now, we're going to call the police. You're making a scene. All I was doing was sitting there waiting for an engineer to show up that I could ask, why did you tamper with my house? Why did you tamper with my lot? Why do I have to tell everybody that I sell this house to that the house is out of compliance? If you were a commercial airline pilot, you'd understand. I could tell you there's an MEL on the house, minimum equipment list. They screwed up the sewer pipes. You got an operational issue. You can't run the house like with a lot of people and throwing parties.
Can I speak?
Thank you for listening. It's been a long time. I've practiced that little speech for years, and I finally got somebody. You're supposed to be an adult and have the legal sense to know what took place here. I don't want to deal with it. I'll give somebody to deal on a house. If Trump can give Roger Stone a pardon, if Trump can give Steve Bannon a pardon, that idiot that wore the horns into the Capitol on January 6th, face all painted like an Indian, if you can give him a pardon, he's out of jail. How about giving me a pardon? All this shit come over that's going on here. Bring your experts. Bring engineers. Bring the board. Your whole team. Spend the day out here.
Okay.
All right? And come to my backyard and we'll have the plan. I've got the original plans, the landscaping plans for the backyard. I got the original. But that, you know, and I know that the first 14 minutes of that interview with the judge was all about the lighthouse. He kept asking me, when are you going to take it down? You have a problem with it. He also spent that time in giving you a phone number. That lighthouse hasn't been there in 2 years. It hasn't been there in 2 years. It got taken down. And to have the judge spend 15 minutes or 14 minutes of my half an hour that I paid for talking about a lighthouse that's not there, and you didn't come out and look for it. If you would have came out the day before you sent that lawsuit, you would have seen there's no lighthouse.
Okay, that's not even the only issue, though. So I just
Well, you made it the biggest thing of the. You made it the hook. We wasted 15 minutes talking about the lighthouse and the phone number. You had the phone number, okay? Carolyn Clinton's got my phone number. She's got my email address. And I don't see how, whether you're giving her legal advice or not, but I'm paying dues. I've been paying dues to the HOA. I've never been for years as far as dues paying. I have a contract with the HOA. And for, I don't know if you told her in an executive session that you don't have to talk to them anymore. You can cancel that contract anytime. Anytime you want. Tell them to call me. That's, as far as I'm concerned. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, eventually this phone, when I hear a couple of beeps, that means this phone is going dead. I'm going to have to jump up and go get the other one that's resting, because this phone's only good for about 20 minutes. Now, would you like to talk? What I want to hear from you is that we'll put a team together. We'll get a bunch of us over there. We'll get all the prints. We'll get the elevation. And if you don't have them, I got them. I got the blueprints for the lot. I got the permit for the house. And we'll talk about it and bring an engineer, bring somebody from downtown Buckeye, and man up. You guys be men, act like adult, and one of your engineers from Buckeye or one of your rich farmers just come out and say, this guy is going to embarrass us. Okay, we're starting to lose our telephone. I'll be right back. Hold on. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I'm with the other phone. But that's all I'm asking. I came out here.
Hey, listen, sir, I don't want to keep you on the phone too long. Is it all right if I just kind of talk for a second? Because you've been talking most of the time here. All this is about, it's not about drainage. It isn't about anything like that. It's just about the HOA wanting you to comply with the rules. And if you're going to make alterations to your backyard, to seek the architectural committee's approval for those alterations. So what I would ask of you is to submit those architectural plans, and if the HOA is agreeable to them, then you leave them up, and if they're not agreeable to them, then you take them down, and that will resolve this issue. There will be obviously a financial component, be it fines and attorney's fees as well, that we have to get figured out.
Well, I think you ought to eat that. I think the HOA ought to eat that. The cost of the fines. They did this all wrong.
Well, if
They did it all wrong.
that you want them to waive as far as the fines go, you have to ask for that, but they're not going to agree to it if your property's still not in compliance.
We don't know what compliance is. It was built out of compliance. That's what's so ridiculous when they send me letters. The first 5 letters that were sent to me in 2021, all right, were, all they had was like 2 lines saying, you're doing something in your backyard, we don't know what it is, you have to get compliance. I spent 10 years working these backyards. When I got my other house totally completed, I did so much drainage. I put in irrigation lines. Caroline was aware of this. The HOA has been aware of this for over 10 or 12 years. Ever since the engineer came out here and wrote up the easement for being plugged up. And I got arrested for missing a court date that I never knew about. Buckeye doesn't handle civil disobedience. The HOA told me you can't walk there, it's not an easement. But then I had a plat map. I used to sell real estate. I had the plat map for the area. And I said, well, I'm going to test to see who wins. Can I walk there per the plat map, or is the HOA right? I walked it for 4 days, for a half an hour. On the 5th day, they arrested me for missing a court date that I never knew about. I went to jail for 4 days. They had a Trump rally. They put me in a car for 45 minutes or an hour, and they called up all their Trumpers, all their Trump heads, all their white Christians from the Midwest. They called them down to the corner. By the time the cops took me out of here, all right, here I had bought 3 houses in the area, right? I had an 800 credit rating. I wasn't in arrears. I was paying for everything. And here I'm being hauled out of the neighborhood by my neighbors who don't want to share this easement that's on the plat map as a multi-use, we all own it, easement. This has been the whole fight ever since. I ran for the board twice. You haven't seen my statements when I ran for the board. Okay, I've been fighting with the HOA over this easement for 12 years. They even threw me in jail. Here I am, 75 and a half. I've said in videos, I'm 3 weeks older than King Charles. I got a cataract that's got to come out. I just found out I got to see a urologist. I got a thing about skin. I got to have my, to see if I have skin cancer. And I haven't been able to do a thing since this lawsuit hit me about 3 months ago. I've been paralyzed. I got paperwork all over the house. I really thought that I could make a case for myself. The only way I'm making a case for myself is I'm putting out videos. And win or lose, if you take me for all this money, you think I'm going to take him for $50,000 or $60,000, we'll put a lien on his house. You're never going to. I'm going to make sure everybody in the country knows where Sundance Active Adult is. I'm going to make sure everybody in the country knows how Buckeye conducts business. Now, you take a little advice from me. Go to the YouTube, put my name in, and read. You might be a little embarrassed by what you see this morning. You should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed. You took a 3-year-old case and you tried to build a case on it, and every time you made an example, like especially May 11th, you said in your letter, he was told on May 11th about the lighthouse and the wind chimes and this. No, I wasn't. They had this canned response. Whatever you're doing, submit it. I'll be glad to submit whatever. I'll do whatever you guys want me to do because I want to sell this house. And the thing of it is, I've had a lien against this house ever since the day they laid the pad. My house has been encumbered with faulty sewer pipes. And the last thing I'm going to do is tell a buyer that you can come in here and live here carefree. And that's what they want to hear. We want to throw parties and have friends. And if we have people visiting and they're taking showers and we lose control of the garbage disposal and the dishwasher, I live solitary here. I use 3,000 gallons a month. I have to tell whoever buys this house, if you plan on throwing parties and having people visiting all the time, go find another house. But if you're a solitary person and you're only going to use 3,000 and you cover all the drains with screens and you don't use the garbage disposal or the dishwasher, all right, you might have a chance of never having your sewer back up on you. Because I've told you up front. And you get these street engineers that, oh, that sewer pipe's so deep, you shouldn't have to worry about that. I don't care how deep it is. Technically, on paper, the house is out of compliance. And all these crooks out here in Buckeye, all these realtors in Buckeye want me to list the house that nothing is wrong. And they don't want me to tell anybody about the easement that's missing. Their rationale is when the people come in here, they'll see that the easement's not available to them. They'll accept that. And when they walk in the house, if you don't tell them about the sewer, they won't know about that either. What a bunch of creeps. Creeps with a capital C. I fixed airplanes. I handed logbooks to captains, 747 DC-10s with a load full of airplanes. When the captain looked at me, is the airplane good? Yeah, it's good. If it isn't, everything about the airplane's on the maintenance release, officer, captain, your honor, whatever. Everything is there. And for me to think that I'm going to sell a house to somebody and not tell them that they've got faulty sewer pipes, and you don't want me to tell them, and the realtor is afraid that if I put on a listing that they'll never sell a house in Buckeye again. I don't know how old you are, Trevor, but I'm 75 and a half, and I don't like being spun around by a bunch of kids that don't want to play right. Caroline Clinton's got all kinds of protocol. When they kicked me out of the HOA 7 years ago, she just blanket did it. They all went into executive session and says, we don't want him under our roof. All he talks about is Tract A. He's obsessed with it. He's obsessed with it. Of course I am. I'm obsessed with having an emergency ingress and egress for emergency vehicles, fire and rescue. You've never been out here. Have you ever been out here, Trevor? You even know what it looks like? Come out to my house. Come out to my house. I'll give you the grand tour. And when you sit out there and you watch golfers tee off from that tee box, if you don't think, do you ever get hit? All the time. All the time. I got people walking in my yard all the time. This whole lawsuit is for the women's group. The first day I sat out there in those chairs, every woman for the women's group that came up, the first thing she did is take her cell phone out and take a picture of me sitting there. What are you doing up there? It's like, and I'm on my property. I'm visible. They don't like it. This isn't about the HOA. It isn't about anything else. They went into the golf shop and they said, we don't want him sitting up there. He's bothering us. We don't like him sitting there. And this is what started it all. All right? I know it. Now, come out, help me out, give me an offer, find somebody to buy this place, because I want out of here. I'll sell it in a heartbeat.
It's my job to find a buyer for your house, sir.
Well,
It's my job to represent my client.
your client is a crook. Your client's a crook. All right? And you're a crook.
This isn't going anywhere, sir. I can see this is not going anywhere. So
Well,
I'm
it's,
going to let you go. But just remember that on May 23rd, we need to exchange exhibits and witnesses.
and I don't have a clue how to do that. And I don't have any witnesses. I've lost all my friends. Okay? You wouldn't believe what this little deal has done to me. From the day I got thrown in jail, all my friends, my girlfriend and everybody else said, we're not going to get caught in this downdraft. If you want to sell the house and get out of here, we're behind you. But if you're going to sit here and debate with the HOA and go back with the HOA, we want nothing to do with you. I'm Howard Hughes. I don't have a clue. And the last lawyer that I hired when they threw me in jail, when I kept talking to him about due process, I said, what about due process? He goes, we're not going after due process. Yeah, we know they trampled your civil rights. They threw you in jail without serving you first. I got out of jail. I went in front of that judge and I said, Your Honor, I had no idea about a warrant for a court date or a summons for a court date. This judge, who's about 20 years younger than me, holds up the summons in front of me and says, "Of course you didn't know about it. We never mailed it to you." He said that to me in front of the American flag. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps during Vietnam, and I'm standing in front of a kid judge who's holding up my summons in front of me that I got thrown in jail because I didn't know about it. All right? And when I watch people like Trump tell everybody that I'm going to let off all the people that went into the Capitol on January 6th because they're true patriots, dude, you haven't got a clue. Now, I'm inviting you to bring out here.
That really has nothing to do with this case.
Well, that's what you do. No, it does have something to do with the case. It does have something to do with the case. If I I don't wear my Marine hat or shirt out in public out here. Because every time I do, I got some idiot from Buckeye coming up, "Thank you for your service." They don't have a clue. You want to thank me for my service? Get rid of this. Give me a pardon. Find a buyer. This has all been motivated by jealousy. What started this, like I said, is the ladies group the morning that they saw me sitting and they didn't have that tea all to themselves and they couldn't look into my patio. The reason that barrier is there is self-defense. It's self-defense. Okay? If you came over here, maybe you'd see that. I don't think you've ever seen this lot. You probably haven't even seen it from the satellite. You wrote that complaint from your office on letters that were 3 years old and you quoted them wrong. You quoted 3 letters wrong. Watch the video this morning. I put it on this morning. And lately, the videos that I've been putting on are getting a lot of viewers. One of the videos I put on got over a couple days, got 180 viewers. People are going to know about this. Now, you're saying I'm not cooperating. I'm cooperating all you want. Bring your board of directors. Bring an engineer, a civil engineer from downtown, the board of directors, yourself, and tell me exactly what you want, and I'll do it. But I need some latitude here. Instead of, you know that I can't sell the house. The house has got an encumbrance on it. It's had a forever lien. Unless you dig this house, tear it down, and raise the pad 2.5 inches, it's permanently, forever out of compliance. That's a cost to me. And having golf balls aimed at me all day by the golf shop is an encroachment. An encroachment. I got golfers and golf balls in my yard every day if it gets busy. Every day. I can count on getting a golf ball on my patio, in my yard, getting hit by one, and then half of the golf balls in my yard, people come walking in after it. Please, I invite you. Give me the benefit of the doubt. Honor my service. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps working on airplanes, and I don't think I made over $100 a month the whole time I was in. And I busted my ass working my ass off. All right? And got out with an honorable discharge. How about honoring my service? And I've got an 800 credit rating that I've had for about 20 years. I bought 3 houses out here, and I'm not in trouble with any of them. They all got paid off. I put solar on them. I paid off the sidewalk assessment. People here hated me. You're a California investor. You think urban. We don't think urban out here. We think Midwest, bucolic. They took a beautiful, sophisticated urban plan 20 years and mutilated it here. They took common areas that were guaranteed in the plan, and they gave them to people as entitlements. And then they screwed up my lot. Like I said, I had a surveyor stand here with 35 years seniority, like a lawyer with 35 years. He took one look at where we were, and he looked at me and he says, "They made you it."
Okay. All right. Well, hey, it was nice talking to you.
Well, it didn't do any good. It didn't do any good. Like I said, you guys are going to rape me in court. I'm going to be standing there. This is why I never got married. I don't do well in front of judges. All right? And none of you guys know what it is to be drafted. None of you. Anybody that's younger than 72, you never got drafted. I got drafted. I got sold down the river. All right? I didn't have a choice. There's about 20,000 people on that wall in Washington that got drafted. Okay? And I wasn't drafted by a lottery either. I was drafted long before the lottery. I was drafted by a bunch of cronies, just like that's in that board of directors. What you're doing now with this lawsuit is the same thing that was done to me 57 years, 58 years ago. The cronies in town says, get rid of him. Send his ass down the road. We don't want him here. Sell his ass down the river. Okay? You haven't got a clue. You sit here and play your little legal games. You went to some college in Salt Lake City or whatever, and you think you know everything. You don't know anything. I got out of the Marine Corps. And had a successful career working on airplanes. I was at the top. I was CAT qualified to sign off Autolands. You think they'd give that to somebody that's crazy? What I have a trouble with is I can't stand the hypocrisy of these MAGA Trumpers out here that want to bring their farm from the Midwest with them. I got a buddy that's got a 100-acre farm back in Wisconsin. He did exactly what I'm telling you about. Him and his wife closed down an easement. We don't like golf carts. They don't go by our patio back on the orchard back in Wisconsin. And the thing of it is, the HOA is dedicated. Their absolute priority is take care of the snowbirds. The people that live here year-round are plantation slaves. This is antebellum slavery. This is Jim Crow. You make all these rules, and then if somebody doesn't follow them, you don't like them, you start sending out letters. But the thing of it is, you put $100 a day fine on me that's up to $55,000 right now, and you didn't send me a registered letter. Also, they didn't give me a hearing. Carolyn knows all of this. She brings all those rules with her out to Buckeye, but when she deals with the Buckeye board, they tell her, you can be replaced. You either do what we tell you to do, or you can be replaced. And all these rules she knows about, we can't just kick him out. We have to go through protocol. We have to give him a hearing. We have to substantiate the charge. She's bailing. She knows all that, but she's doing exactly what these mobsters, racketeers out here want her to do. You're our club. You're our hatchet man. Either you be our hatchet man or we'll find somebody else to do it. I've been through this. Trevor, please, look on the satellite. Come on out, visit me. I want it out of here in the worst way. You come out here, let me make a deal, but I don't want to take $30 or $40 or $50,000 off the top. I already have to take 30 or 40 off the top because of sewer pipes. Because of the sewer pipes. I'm willing to be honest. Karma. I don't want this karma following me, all right? I know different. It's like a fuel indication on an airplane if you're a pilot. What's one of the most important things you worry about on an airplane? Fuel indication. Do you think I'd hand a pilot a logbook if I knew that there was something wrong with the fuel indication and he wouldn't take the plane and I wouldn't get an on-time departure if I told him? I'm going to tell him. I don't care if he gets an on-time or not. Now that kind of honesty you people out here aren't ready for. You're not ready for it, and you're so polarized. You're so polarized out here. Right after I got kicked out of the HOA, they had a veterans meeting. And they sent it out over video on the website. It was all red hat, all MAGA. All MAGA.
What does that have to do with this lawsuit?
Well, this lawsuit is that...
Nothing to do with it.
No, it does. It does. It does. They don't want... No, they don't want me among them. That's why they kicked me out of the HOA, because they even sent me a letter. You can get back in the HOA if you just drop the fact that your house was built wrong, and that what they're saying is we had nothing to do with it. Well, in that lawsuit, Trevor, and thank you for not hanging up on me. I'm really putting you through the drill here, but I've been waiting years to talk to an adult about this, because I've been trying to talk to the HOA for years about it, and they just give me the 1,000-yard stare. Okay? And then they say, heaven forbid that we allow him in here. Heaven forbid we allow him in here. All right, so he can tell everybody about what's wrong with Tract A, so that he can scare people over there, that if the 2 portals ever get plugged out, there's no way to get any rescue vehicles into parcel 12. All right, that's what it's all about, Trevor. That's what it's all about. I've been around. I lived in corporate America for about 40 years, and I also worked in the casinos. I dealt craps, and I dealt 21 for about 5 years in Reno. I know all the tricks, okay? I can see stuff coming a mile away. And that's what started all this is jealousy. When I bought these houses, the first thing the guy said to me when I closed the last 2 houses, he says, this will never happen again. I looked at him like, what are you talking about? He goes, you're not from here. Nobody liked this. Nobody liked the fact that you took 3 of the best lots overlooking the lake. You bought too much toilet paper. And within a month, I had a letter in my file. Within a month, I had a letter in my file. This parcel wasn't even built out yet. The house, there was only about 10 houses built in a parcel of 65 houses. And I got a letter in my file for breaking the CC&Rs. That made the hair stand up on my head. And because I've been around and I've gone through this before, I know when I'm not wanted. All right? And then my neighbors parked their car in front of my house for 3 weeks straight. 3 weeks straight. They never moved it. They were making a statement. We don't want you here. We don't like you. We are jealous of you. Okay? I haven't had a thing to do with that HOA. I never used it. I was too busy working. I was working graveyard at the airport as a mechanic, and I didn't have weekends off. So every time I'd get their paper or their little magazine every 3 months, it'd be watching everybody partying on my dime. On my dime.
Okay. Mr. Lashome, I do have to go.
Well, thank you for listening, but I'm inviting you out here. Bring a crew out here and tell me what you want to do. I don't want to fight you. I'll do exactly what you want to do. But at least give me the benefit to explain to you why I'm doing it. I'm offering it to you. And I've recorded this. This has all been recorded. Okay?
I have no question that you have, and I fully expected you would when I called.
Well, I have. And the thing of it is, I appreciate your professionalism. I hope you don't take this personally. Okay? I hope you don't take this personally. But if you can imagine, try to imagine, Trevor. Now, in every one of your letters at the bottom, for every one you said didn't pay the fine. That letter's 3 years old. I paid the fine immediately. Every fine I paid. Okay? I've got all the records. I got stacks of canceled checks and everything. The fines are all paid. And imagine this, in September of 22, I get my invoice for my dues, and there's no fines on it. None. It's a straight. What that means, well, what that tells me, What that tells me, Trevor, is all the fines that you say I didn't pay in your letter, all the fines that you said they told him about the lighthouse on May 11th, they didn't tell me about a lighthouse. The lighthouse hasn't come up until you started writing the letter in January. That's the first thing I ever saw mentioned about the lighthouse. Your letter in January 3 months ago. You went back 3 years. You didn't even come out to check to see if there's a lighthouse on the property. And you made the lighthouse the thing that the judge even admitted. I've read over the whole lawsuit, and the thing that stands out to me the most egregious thing that you need relief on is the lighthouse.
I'm certain the judge did not say that, but
You want me to send you? I'll send you. He did. He said, I've read it all, and the lighthouse is what grabbed me. And, Trevor, you do whatever you want. I've got it recorded. This is going to go on YouTube in about a half an hour. Okay? All right? Yeah, and I'm getting a lot of response. Before I'd put a video on, maybe 2 people would watch it. The last one I put on a couple of days ago about this, 189 responses. And a lot of them are favorable. Okay? I'm telling what HOA and collections are all about. You guys are out to roll me over. Now, bring out your group, bring out your study group, whatever you want to call it, but you got to have an engineer who knows hydraulics. A drainage engineer. Bring him out first, and then when you come out, and maybe a safety person, or bring out the chief of fire, the fire chief, and the guy that's in charge of emergency rescue. Bring those guys. Get those guys from Buckeye. Bring them out to my patio, and then I'll show them where the guy that sells trucks here in Buckeye, Doug Jones, about once a month, he drives a Ford truck right over the cart path in front of my house, right by track day, and he parks it on the for the hole in the one on the 6th hole. Now, that truck, if a car dealer can drive a truck in front of my house and park it on the 6th hole for a hole in one, what I see when he passes track day is I see an emergency vehicle in an emergency situation. I see a fire and rescue. Go get those leaders. Get the guy in charge of fire and rescue and have him take a look at the 2 portals we have. We only got 2 portals in and out of here. And they're on 4-way stops, and they're only about 75 yards from each other. On one of the busiest roads in Buckeye, Sundance Parkway. Eventually, we're going to need, and all these videos I'm making, you better pray that somebody don't have a stroke or die and they can't get an emergency vehicle in here because they had a wreck out there between the 2 and it paralyzed everything. And then just as that happened, somebody fell off a ladder, or somebody had a stroke or a heart attack, or somebody got hit by a golf ball walking their dog, because golf balls fly in this neighborhood all day long. And then it'll get in the papers. It'll be on the news. They couldn't get the fire and rescue in there, right? They had the emergency tract closed. I'll tell you one of the shortest chapters in aircraft maintenance, and one that'll ground the plane before anything else. All right, you can go without an autopilot. You can go without radios. You can go without. There's so much you can go without on that plane, but you can't go without emergency equipment. If they fill up the plane with passengers and they're about 2 minutes from pushback, and that one of the emergency doors go out, and they can't fix it, everybody's off the plane. Nobody's going anywhere. That track day is our emergency door. Now, if you're too immature and you don't have enough experience in life to see what can happen, will happen, Maybe if you'd been in the Marines and worked on airplanes and seen accidents and been through the safety programs that I've been through. And come over, another thing, come out and look at the hole, the Grand Canyon at the end of Tract A. All right? You better pray, and the HOA better pray that they don't need an ambulance up here one of these days, and that one of these nice little old ladies or nice little old men has a stroke and they can't get to them in time. My mother was here. She was 91. She was living in one of these houses about 20 years ago when I first bought them. And we had a problem a couple times with her. And we've got the best EMTs almost in the state here. All you have to do is make a call and they were here instantly with all the equipment, everything. But if that happens, when they have an accident out there between our two portals, if you have somebody, you've got EMTs that want to get in here. They pride themselves in saving lives and knowing how to fix somebody. And what you've done now is for the sake of a bunch of rednecks from the Midwest that don't want to share, who are bucolic. They're bucolic. They don't understand they have to share. This is an urban model. You can't bring your farm with you. Trevor, watch the videos. You're on them. You're on them. Both of them. I made them this morning. It's called HOA Lawsuit Summons 1 and 2. You're on them. And you'll see the mistakes you made. And you'll see that what you were putting down on paper didn't agree with what was in the letters.
Okay, I'll do that. Well, hey, thanks for your time, and we'll be talking again soon.
Well, I want to get this over. I don't want to go to court, right? Okay. I want to make a deal. I want to make a deal. I fixed all the drainage. I've been working 10 years. They sold me a lot that didn't drain. I was a sponge up here. The surveyor told me I've spent 10 years fixing drainage, and now you want to take it away from me. All right? I've been kicked out of the HOA for 6 years, paying on 2 houses. That ought to be worth something. You break my windows. The golf course breaks my windows with no reciprocity at all. None. They break $1,000 window. Maybe they'd say, hey, we'll give you free golf for 6 months or something to make up for the window. We are not buying your window. They have all these things, and they've targeted me. Every time they put that tee all the way back and to the right, and then they put the pin on the green all the way to the right, I'm nailed to the cross for the day. Why don't you come out and visit? Why don't you come out and visit? I'll sell it cheap to somebody. This is a $450,000 house. It would be if I could tell somebody that everything in the house works. Everything works. Everything. The sewer pipes work. And right after I got that, I paid that $285 fine, or that $285 dues in September of 22, because I got a clean report card and there was no fines left on it. I said, I'm finally out of the woods. They're going to finally leave me alone. There's no fines. I paid them all. And there's nothing that warns me. I haven't had a letter or anything warning me of anything coming up. All right? So I went out and I put a brand new air conditioning system on my house. I went out and spent $2,500 for the system, and I installed it. I did. Okay? Because I work on airplanes, I'm a technician. And I put 2 air conditionings in my house. I put ventilation in the house. I've done so many. I put solar on the house. Now, can I take that with me? Am I going to be paid for what I put into the house? How about that 10 years of hard labor every day being out there sifting rocks, moving rock, trying to get the thing to drain? I had to call contractors to come in and haul out about 100 yards of dirt. I had a guy come in and haul dirt off my property. All right? Because they mutilated it. They mutilated it. They made me it. You're not going to plant your money here and watch it grow. You're California. You're from outside. I sold real estate in Seattle 45 years ago. I know everything. California investors are hated on the West Coast. They're hated because they come in and they bust up so many deals, like I did. I think all the old goats, all your old Lodge brothers, all your old Shriners and Masons out here didn't want to pay the price that I paid. I came down here from San Francisco and took one look and I said, how many can I buy at this price? And I've been hated ever since. I'm not a freak and I'm not an animal. And I don't like Charlie Waters and Caroline Clinton telling everybody, well, he's out of line, he's combative. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to get what I paid for. You guys aren't you people aren't used to dealing with New Yorkers or people with Boston. I lived in Boston 5 years. I grew up in New York. All right? I lived in Reno working the tables. You're not dealing with an idiot here. And I am an engineer, and I know exactly what they did. Now, if you were a good man, if you were a deal maker, you'd get with Caroline, you'd get with the board, you'd get with the guys downtown and say, you guys screwed him. Why don't you man up? We'll give him a pardon. Somebody come up with the money and buy him out. And let him get out of here. He's paid you dues on 3 houses for... Yeah. See, you don't see it. You only see your own... Well, it's hard to find a buyer when I have to tell them that the sewer pipes are out of... I've had buyers. I had a for sale by owner thing out there, and they all get excited. They come in here and they go and they look at the view in the backyard and they go, oh my God, look at that view. And I said, well, there's a problem. There's kind of a cloud on the title. The title's encumbered. The house isn't right. What are you talking about? I said, well, they built it wrong on purpose. These racketeers out here, 20 years ago, these reconstructionists from the South, these Jim Crow types, took my lot because I was from out of town and I didn't know anybody. They made me the drain and they lowered my house. So I have to share that with any new buyer. So I'm already going to get beat about $50,000 on the house. And then I have to tell them that, oh yeah, plus you should be able to drive your golf cart on the golf course 40 feet away, 45 feet away. It's on paper. It's on the plat map. If you compare it to all the other places in the neighborhood, they're all on the same deed. If you go over to parcel 13, easement H, that's been wide open to golf carts ever since it opened. And they're on the same deed. They got the same description. These people took this out of service 20 years ago. This was a flim-flam. They redlined it. They segregated it. They Jim Crow'd it. They co-opted it. Get it through your head. You're not dealing with an idiot here. All I'm asking you is put a deal together. Let me get out of here. If one of your goons wants to buy my house, then buy it legally. Buy it legally. I fixed the drainage. I've got 2 new air conditioning units on it. I put in garage ventilation. I put in fans. I've done all kinds of work to the house. Give me what I've got invested in it. I thought I bought a house when I come out here. I didn't buy a house. I don't own it. This is like buying a condo. I bought the space. You can't touch anything. That list that you started out with shrubs, plants, yada, 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 that list gets longer and longer and longer every year. You got to have rules. How are you going to write up anybody? How are you going to write up anybody for breaking the rules if you haven't got a ton of rules? And these people that have the authority on the architectural committee are flawed human beings. They got human factor problems. I don't know if you've ever taken a human factors course, but I took a week of it at United Airlines. They took me out of service for a week, and I went to human factors for 8 hours a day for a week. I also went to human factors at US Air when I was working here in Phoenix. And human factors is jealousy, envy, some of the most. And when you put people together in executive sessions, they turn into monsters. And when they get a lawyer like you that says you can void the contract you have with him, even though he's paying you dues, he's living up to everything he's supposed to do, you just tell him to call me. You don't have to talk to him anymore. I think you're giving them bad advice. And like I said, this is going on YouTube as soon as we get done talking. And please watch the video.
I do need to hang up, so we'll talk soon.
Call me at any time.
If you want to actually discuss the merits of this case, then I'm happy to do that. You have my phone number.
The merits of the case is you wrote up and you put down in your statement, you put words that weren't there in these letters. These letters said nothing to me about lighthouses, wind chimes, or sandbags. There was 5 letters that were sent that were all carbon copies of each other. Nothing was said to me. They didn't tell me what was wrong with my yard. And everybody has known for the last 10 years, ever since Woody Scouting, I had the engineer come out here, and I had one of the board members here when the engineer was here. And the engineer told me, he says, I can see where they're storing water on your lot. He says, I can see by the ring around the tub that the water is trapped, landlocked on your lot. And I said, well, what can I do about it? He says, I'm giving you permission to do whatever you have to do to get the water off your lot. It isn't supposed to be here. Now, when you bring the engineers here, I'm going to bring out the original blueprints, and it's going to show where my property line is over 3 feet high where it meets the golf course. It's all going to show where my house sits 2.5 inches. They destroyed the drainage geometry between my property line and my house. They lowered my house, they raised the property line, and then they put a berm. And then when the landscaper creative environments came in, they were told, make berms between the property line and the house. We do not want any water on our golf course.
Okay.
You understand?
I heard everything you said. I got to go. I really do. I can't stay on the phone with you any longer.
Trevor.
I appreciate you talking to me.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Have a good day.
I appreciate you. Thank you. This is going on YouTube in about half an hour.